If you look at Donald Trump's track record and Donald Trump's Republican Party over the last 7 years, they're 0-7. So, yeah, maybe the Biden team's going to have to work harder. Maybe Democrats are going to have to work harder. Maybe people who actually like American democracy are going to work harder. But they just have to work harder and get the word out that these people are lying. Not only is the RNC lying, but also mainstream media outlets are now all in on the lies.
A few moments later.
Thanks to all the members of Congress and Homeland Security Secretary. I'm not sure you're going to introduce you all the way. Security Secretary. I'm not sure you're going to introduce you all the way. Congress and Homeland Security Secretary. I'm not sure you're going to introduce you all the way.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It just continues and continues and continues to get worse for the Biden administration, who are desperate to try to save Joe Biden's chances of being reelected. We now have a psyop going on in the mainstream liberal media where they're pretending like Joe Biden is not mentally declining. However, every day Joe Biden shows us that he is in fact mentally declining, despite what his propagandists like Joe Scarborough say on television, because Biden came out with a major announcement today to try to get some votes from the far left extremists when it comes to the border, after pretending to be tough on the border just a few weeks ago with his fake executive order. But he, doing that announcement where he basically is going to make it easier for illegal immigrants to stay in the United States and to avoid being deported, he slipped up, right? He went into some type of weird mini Mitch McConnell moment, except he didn't completely go quiet like Mitch McConnell, okay, who clearly had lost his mind, right? I'm pretty sure this guy was having a seizure. Biden kind of started mumbling and fumbling and just kind of like just being weird, right? I mean, like, he clearly was having a mental moment there. And if he has moments like that during a debate, it is over, okay? I'm telling you, it's going to be very embarrassing for the mainstream liberal media if that happens at the debate. I'm so serious, right? I'm so serious. But at this point, I think it's unavoidable. I'm sure people like Joe Scarborough will find a way to spin that clip and to say that it is a cheap fake or that it's not real. Don't believe what you're saying, whatever, right? This is what they'll say. But anyways, this video, again, is about what Biden was attempting to talk about, which is the border and his new executive action that he has announced when it comes to allowing illegal immigrants to stay in this country, basically giving them amnesty and not deporting them like he should be.
Meantime, a key issue in the 2024 race is in the spotlight. President Biden set to announce new executive actions on immigration. One of them, shielding undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens from deportation. NBC senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez joins us. Gabe, so tell us about the plan.
Hey there, Hoda. Good morning. This is a major step for the White House after it cracked down on illegal border crossings by tightening asylum rules earlier this month. This latest move could impact 500,000 undocumented immigrants living in this country. Typically, the U.S. provides a straightforward path to immigrants who enter the country lawfully and end up marrying an American. But this will address those who came here illegally and want to get a green card through marriage. Those who were married before today would be allowed to get work permits on a case-by-case basis without ever having to leave the country. They have to have lived in the U.S. for at least 10 years, so have 3 years to apply for that green card to live and work permanently here. A senior administration official says anyone who has previously been deported will not be eligible, Hoda.
All right, Gabe, so what about the children of undocumented immigrants? What would their status be?
Yeah, Hoda, back in 2012, President Obama allowed kids whose parents brought them to the U.S. when they were young to stay in this country. They became known as dreamers. Now, the Biden administration will make it easier for them to get work visas if they've earned a college degree and received a job offer from a U.S. employer. We expect legal challenges to all of this, especially in an election year. Recent NBC News polling shows that voters consider immigration one of the most important issues facing the country, second only to inflation and the cost of living. The Trump campaign, meanwhile, is already jumping on this news, accusing President Biden of prioritizing illegal immigrants over Americans.
Okay, and this is coming as Biden is really facing some bad poll numbers when it comes to the border. I mean, it's at the point now where most people actually want illegal immigrants to be deported. It doesn't matter which race you poll, right? The majority of people want illegal immigrants deported.
To me, the biggest delta there, and the math, you can correct my math, is on the Hispanic number, from 53 to 17. That's remarkable. You see something similar that's happened with the whole conversation around tariffs in China. Things that Donald Trump talked about in 2016 were out of the bounds even within the Republican Party, and now they've entered in the mainstream. And when the top line number there was 62% supporting deportation? That's a remarkable number. Yeah. And, again, it's just one poll, but it seems like to bear out across a lot of polls.
Congressman, I want you to look at this. 62% of Americans in this poll say they support deporting all undocumented immigrants living in the United States. Here's the question. Are Democrats out of touch with the American people on this very, very sensitive issue?
I don't think so. I think that, when it comes down to it, a lot of these folks are in our communities. They're rooted in our communities. They haven't, they don't have a criminal record. They've oftentimes contributed greatly to our country. And when folks are pressed, would you deport this person or that person from your community? They usually say no. So I think we have to look at the humanity of the situation and what's the smart thing to do. And right now, I think the president's doing both with regard to the spouses of American citizens who are eligible anyway to go forward with the green card process. And now he's expediting that.
And then he's offering them a potential pathway to U.S. citizenship as well. And if you take a look at a lot of these immigrants, not all, but almost all of them, they are hardworking people who are contributing greatly to their communities and to the country at large. Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy of Illinois, as usual, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, so I find it hilarious how CNN tries to essentially make the case for illegal immigrants to be able to stay in this country in the face of polls showing that, hey, a vast majority of Americans want to deport the illegal immigrants, right? And the reason why, unfortunately, is because Democrats have to actually experience fire to believe that it burns, right? This is just the unfortunate reality of liberals and progressives, is that they don't believe their policies are bad until they experience their policies, right? In an ideal world, you would think, just via common sense, that most people would think that it's not a good idea to just let people into this country illegally, okay, from these countries where we really don't know much about these people, okay? And, it's just kind of crazy how it took something as extreme as Biden's open borders to make people understand that illegal immigration is not a good thing for this country. But regardless of that, you still have the Biden administration coping over the fact that a vast majority of Americans believe that illegals should be deported. In fact, they actually don't believe this at all, okay? They're saying that, well, we just don't believe these polls, that people want illegal immigrants deported.
Polling is clear. By the way, politically, I don't think the American people are in a pro-amnesty mood right now. You look at what Trump is proposing, there's a lot of polling that shows majority support for what Trump is saying, including among Hispanics in the United States of America. They like what Trump is saying about cracking down on illegal immigration.
What about detention camps and mass deportations? What about that?
Mass deportations has majority support in the United States and among Hispanic voters right now. It's recent polling. You can look it up. No. It is Maria, it is absolutely true. When we get off the air and you Google it, you're going to be embarrassed, but it's absolutely true.
I will send you the actual polling from pollsters who actually know how to poll on this issue.
You're going to be embarrassed.
I will send this to you after our segment.
The CBS poll, 53%.
I have issues with that poll because of exactly what I'm saying. But
well, you have issues with the poll because it doesn't say what you want it to say, right? That's why you have issues with it, okay? Because this is not the only poll that shows that. I mean, this is just Hispanic registered voters that show that they are in favor of deporting all illegal immigrants in the U.S. Okay, so this is just Hispanics. Overall, the number is much higher than this. Again, this is hilarious. This woman swears up and down it's not true. Americans don't support that, right? But it's like, no, that's actually what Americans do support. Doesn't matter who you poll, right? Across racial lines, which goes against the Democrats and their victimhood coalition ideology, which is that, well, all of these so-called people of color must agree with Democrat policies because our policies are good for people of color by definition. And if you agree with Trump, then you're a xenophobe. Well, it seems as if a majority of Hispanics are xenophobic, right? They're xenophobic along with, 60-70% of the Americans that support mass deportations? Again, it's amazing how that works. Probably won't be a good campaign tactic to come out here and to call the American people and Trump xenophobic for wanting to deport illegal immigrants, right? So, yeah, Democrats here are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place when it comes to this issue of illegal immigration because they want to virtue signal to their progressive base that, hey, we like open borders. We want illegals to come in, which is what they actually want. But also, sane people in this country want the border closed. Not only do they want the border closed, they want the illegals deported, right? So I'm just saying, it's just so funny how the best way to red pill a Democrat or a liberal is to give them what they want. Just give them what they want.
But I do want to answer Scott.
Wait, whoa.
He asked a
Who was
question.
right? I just want to make sure people don't miss it. Who was right? I just want to know who was right.
I want to answer Scott because he actually posed an interesting question. Why didn't Biden do this the first day in office? Actually, Scott, President Biden did try to do this the first day in office. The very first thing he did when he walked into the Oval Office was he put a bill together that actually does strengthen border security and expands legal pathways because he wants to do this right. He wants to do this the way that it's supposed to be done.
Now, we all know what Biden actually really did the first day that he got in office, which is that he repealed, 90 plus of Trump's executive orders related to the border in order to weaken the border. He also told illegal immigrants to come to the border, come into the country. That's what Joe Biden actually did. I don't want to hear anything about any legislation that Biden proposed or put out there for Republicans to negotiate with, because Republicans shouldn't have to negotiate with idiots like Democrats who have shown that they have no credibility whatsoever when it comes to the border, right? Why should I have to negotiate with somebody who has shown to be absolutely terrible when it comes to their border policies? And considering how the American people overwhelmingly agree with Republicans and Republican policies when it comes to the border, Republicans should not, again, negotiate at all with Democrats. It should be my way or the highway because that is what the American people support at this point.
Working with Congress. But then guess what? Congressional Republicans slammed the door on any opportunity that would expand any legal pathways. And what we know...
Yeah, because that's amnesty, right? We don't need to be expanding legal pathways for citizenship and giving people more incentives to come into this country. We need to be disincentivizing people from coming here. So, yeah, I don't blame Republicans for walking away from the negotiations saying, no, this is a non-starter. We are not going to allow people into this country illegally and then reward them with citizenship. That's crazy. That's disrespectful and unfair to all of the American citizens who came from abroad that did it correctly. Okay, they waited in line and they basically did it the right way. And again, I think that's why you have a majority of Hispanics supporting this, is because the people that came into the country the right way want everybody else to come into the country the right way, which would make sense.
Know from what happened under 4 years of President Trump, and this is something that Republicans lie over and over about, is that he eviscerated all of the legal pathways, including our asylum system, and he did nothing to eradicate illegal immigration. His numbers on illegal crossings went up his last year in office. So when President Trump was in office, he did nothing to fix this. He made it worse. And now it's actually kind of rich, because what this also does, Scott and Jim, this keeps American families together. When Republicans scream that kids need a father and a mother, well, guess what? Then join us, because this is exactly what this executive action is doing. And again, the vast majority of Americans, and I will send you the polling on this, Scott, from pollsters who know how to poll on this, absolutely agree with this. It is upwards of 3/4 of the American people support a balanced approach of strong border security, which I know you agree with, but also expanding legal pathways, especially for the long settled immigrants that have been here, who have contributed more than $7 trillion to our economy.
Scott?
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually just going to give in and say that I think Maria should go over to the White House today and encourage Joe Biden to run on as much amnesty as possible. I think if that's the way you want to read the polling, if that's the way you want to interpret the mood in the country, I think you should go over there and say, you know what, President Biden, the American people are behind you. Let's encourage as much of this as we possibly can. I think you ought to. I'm all in.
No, Scott, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, Scott.
This dude is hilarious. This dude is hilarious, right? Because basically what he's saying is that, well, if you really believe that this is a winning strategy, okay, cool. Go right along and go to the White House and encourage Joe Biden to grant a mass amnesty to illegal immigrants when the American people want them deported, right? If this is what you actually really believe, okay? But again, Democrats think you're stupid, right? They think that, well, we framed this the right way. If we say that, well, it's expanded pathway for citizenship. No. That is amnesty. That's what they're actually pushing for when they say that, okay? What we need to do right now when it comes to our immigration system in order to fix it, the first thing we have to do is secure the border first, okay? The border needs to be secure, sealed, okay? Once the border is sealed, then we can start talking about legal immigration and what to do with that, right? But as of right now, we have so many illegals in this country. We need to seal the border, deport some of the illegals here, if not all of the illegals here, and then we can start to talk about other issues when it comes to immigration and straightening out that process. But, you know, I personally think that we should take a pause, right? We need to take a pause on immigration for a little bit, right, to figure out what the hell is going on and all these people that have come into this country before we just start letting people into the country again. That's personally the way I think it should be done. I think we just need to shut down across the board until we really kind of figure it out, to be quite honest with you.
Find him on this action. And it's not amnesty. Scott, you know better. You're a smart guy. Calling it amnesty is a lazy and incorrect way to describe what's going on. Why don't you go tell your Republican friends in Congress that if they were really, really interested in trying to solve this issue, they would join Democrats and do this legislatively, both strong border security as well as expanding legal pathways. That's what works, and that's what the American people support.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that what Joe Biden did on his first day in office, canceling all of Donald Trump's executive orders, hurt him or helped him with the American people on this issue?
It helped our immigration system try to recover from the evisceration of what happened to Donald Trump. Because, see, here's the problem, Scott. Not everything has to be based on polls and politics. Some things, actually, real leaders focus on real solutions because it's good for America. And you know what? When you actually put solutions in front of party and politics, the party and politics follows. This is good policy, and it's good politics.
All right, guys. Great debate, spirited debate. We'll do it again.
Yeah. So, again, Scott Jennings is laughing, as he should, because this woman deserves to be laughed at, considering how delusional she is. She essentially just ended her argument by saying, well, the opinions of the American people don't matter, right? The elitist and Democrat Party know better. And because they think that illegal immigration is good, right, then that means that the American people also agree that illegal immigration is good and that we should be granting mass amnesty. And it's like, okay, well, if that's what you believe, if you want to not go along with reality, fine, right? It's the same thing when it comes to the whole Biden mental situation, right? If you guys say that Biden's fine and you guys are going to keep rolling with this idea that nothing's wrong with Joe Biden and you're telling everybody that sees Joe Biden mentally melt down before our eyes that you're not really saying that, okay, cool, right? If you want to roll with that, just continue to roll with that. Keep doing that, right? Continue to do that because that is the number one way to lose, okay? Democrats are disconnected from reality, and every chance they get, they show you that, yeah, they just are not in touch with what the American people feel. And not only are they not in touch, they just don't care. This woman knows that most people do not support the mass illegal immigration that's happening and that most people want mass deportations, but she doesn't give a damn, right? That's just not a part of the Democrat Party platform. So what she's going to do is that she's going to pretend that the American people support what Democrats want to do when they just don't. They just don't. So, you know, it is what it is. If they want to campaign on that, all right, cool, right? Be my guest. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.